those are the lilies that give me trouble. This one was kind of like the run of the mill, low level lily, and like I honestly felt bad because I almost got it was almost like four perfects, and I was just like, I think they had one good round, but the rest of the time I was just like shutting everything down, and I was like,
Okay.
this matchup really fucking sucks. And it's just like, how would you feel like if Lily was able to keep her win stock through rounds? Like, would you be okay with that?
Fuck that.
No.
No way. No way, dude. Yeah, no, fuck that. Don't buff the win stocks. That's part of the problem.
Oh, your reaction was priceless.
So we're not having fun. Yeah. I have a bad matchup against Lily too. That's the other side of it. Like it's one of Chun's
Yeah.
weirdly bad matchups. And she can get stocks for free against me because my fireball doesn't reach that far. What do? I have to just chase her while she gets them. And I imagine if I chase her and I win and then she starts with 3 the next round and destroys me for it. No, we already have that with Manon. Manon's a good example
Yeah.
of that, right?
Yeah, that's
Where it's
true.
like I won the round, but she got 4 levels, so I'm fucked, even though I won.
Yeah.
Hello, and welcome to the Absolute Guard podcast. We're a competitive fighting game community podcast examining history and current events from the lens of the Arizona grassroots scene.
Yes, welcome. This is episode 82. It's just me and John today. We have no guest, kind of just talking about anything and everything. There's been new stuff for Street Fighter 6 that came out in terms of Akuma, and then also some alleged updates, I guess, buffs and nerfs, but take those
Yes.
with a grain of salt. Yeah, there's a lot of doom and gloom going on about certain characters, and I'm just gonna wait till the official notes come out before I really give my impressions on that.
Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah, because we got ones that's supposed to land the 22nd, May
Yeah.
22nd.
Yeah.
So
So
the
just
Kuma
for
drops in. We're supposed to get the big update. Yeah.
for chronicling the history here, like Evo Japan happened this past weekend, and that's when they showed this Akuma trailer, and then that came accompanied with an announcement saying that a balance patch will be dropped on May 22nd. So
Uh,
we've actually got the trailer playing in the background here. It's like 3 minutes long, so we have like an hour of us talking over looped over 3 minute footage. Prime content
yeah.
creation, I think. uh,
Oh man.
but have you had a chance to look at the Akuma trailer?
Yeah, I did see it. I didn't know that they put it on before the top 8 or the top 6 started. Sorry, top
Yeah.
6 because it's Evo, right? That's the thing they're doing now.
Yep, they're doing that now.
But yeah, I didn't know
What are your
that they put
thoughts
it
on
on
that, by the way?
beforehand.
Yeah,
The
do you
top
like a
6?
better, well, not top 6, but the trailer happening before or after the top 6?
I don't mind it happening before. Like, get it out of the way. I get everybody. Everybody's gonna be all amped up, and then it's just like, all right, let's watch the finals finish up, right? Because like
Yeah.
in the event that they don't do anything, like you know, there's no anticlimax or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, like it kind of overshadows the if you do it at the end, it kind of overshadows the winners of the tournament, right? I think no matter what, it's
Yeah,
going to overshadow the winner of the tournament. It's just whether or not you want it before the winners decided or after.
yeah. It's whether or not you're gonna watch or not. Yeah, whether you're gonna tune in. Yeah.
Yeah, or so that way you can interview Chris Wong and ask him why he lost. Jesus
Oh man,
Christ.
yeah. It's just
Uh,
that was such a bad look.
yeah.
I still
And
don't
then
even
the
know like if that was supposed to be a mistake, or if that was a mistake or not. Because I remember there's somebody that was speculating they thought that he won or somebody. I don't know.
yeah. Yeah, we're talking about the incident from Capcom Cup, but also, yeah. Earlier, you were like, "Hey, like we're asking about top 6," and I don't know if we've actually put that opinion on the air or not. But like, how are you feeling about Evo doing top 6 instead of top 8?
Like I don't know. I understand that from like a logistics standpoint. Like they're trying to make finals day be a little bit shorter, right? So they're cutting out what a total of four extra matches, right? By taking
Yeah,
the other two out. So like I get it from that kind of point, running events and stuff like that. I understand that part, but I don't know. It's just one of those things that's been like ingrained in the FGC and in tournaments, and it's like that was always your goal. I want to get top 8. I want to get top 8, right? And I feel like that kind of moves the goal a little higher. So like, now whereas before it was just like, "Hey John, what place did you get?" "Oh, I tied for 7th." "Oh, that's awesome. You made top 8." Now it's like, "Oh, what place did you get?" "Oh, I tied for 7th." Like, "Oh man, that sucks. Like you didn't make the finals." Right? And there's like
Yeah.
almost like a negative connotation to it nowadays, but it's like you still made the final 8.
Yeah, it has the threshold of it raises the threshold for players, and so it's just less people are feeling successful overall, I think.
Yeah, because I mean that's always been. I think that's a goal for like a lot of newer players, or just even the top players in local scenes or wherever. Is just like, I want to make top 8, right? You want to make that final stage, and now they're like cutting that part out, and it's just like it's not good enough anymore.
Well, in the opening conversation of this podcast, we've already talked about three of the things that we wanted to talk about today: Akuma season 2 and Evo Japan, and how their tournament is structured. And so, where do you want to start, Benny?
I would say like let's talk a little bit about Evo Japan because like I actually
Sure.
did tune in for most of it. I wasn't kind of planning to. I was kind of just like, well, I'll kind of just see the results and go from there.
Yeah.
And then I actually had time, like when it was going on, and I was just like, you know what, I'm actually gonna end up watching the matches, and I watched, I think all of them, or little bits of everything.
Okay. Like you talking about throughout the like you talking about just the top 6 or throughout the whole weekend?
I don't know, just the top 6. I didn't really watch much of the rest of that.
So I have some commentary on everything leading up to top 6, where by and large the opinion I see on the internet is that the stream and the media production was very poor for Evo Japan. In
Oh,
that
okay.
like a lot of the English streams were kind of just hopping around from game to game. So you had like one dedicated English stream, but it was very difficult to actually like find Street Fighter 6 matches specifically or find a
Yeah,
specific game because there are so many different Evo Japan stream channels. And then on top of that, now because we're Americans, we're like, oh, the whole broadcast needs to cater to us in English, right? That's not the case.
yeah,
The time zones are different, right? So everything is I think we're getting a the taste of the first time like of like esports divesting itself from America and being in areas in like Japan or Europe or Saudi Arabia, right? Um,
yeah, exactly.
and I think there was even an incident where one of the Evo streams got banned by Twitch just through like an automatic content filter.
Oh yeah, I
So
did hear
that
about that. I think it had to do with like the chat, right? Like the chat was kind of getting out of hand.
yeah, something like that. Like ASCII art was getting too nutty. But yeah, so and then like Evo Japan in general has had a reputation for just not being the smoothest running event every year. And
Hmm.
frankly, if you it's one thing to start an event and grow it organically. Like you hear the stories of Undefeated that we've had on on the podcast in previous episodes, where it started out as like a small gathering at TGZ and then blew up into something bigger. You hear about like
Yeah.
Devastation starting at Rob TV's house, but very few events like are like, hey, I need to go from no
He said
experience
Rob
to
TV.
or not Rob TV, so Jedi Rob.
Yeah, I was like Rob
Sorry,
TV.
not Rob TV. He's not local. Um, but very few have the expectations of like, here's a group of new tournament organizers in a foreign country like Japan now make an event
Yeah,
that's worthy of the Evo name, um,
yeah,
and even then the Evo being worthy of the Evo name has been a conversation in the past couple of years too. So
yeah,
um, yeah, so that's the general gist that I got from the periphery of watching, because again it was a weird hour, so I didn't catch much of it, just like you, as far as leading up
yeah.
to top 6. um,
Yeah, I
but
always find that kind
yeah,
of interesting because, like you said, like they're in a completely different time zone across the world, right, from the U.S. And
yeah,
like that's always been a problem when it came to like sporting events or like the Olympics, right? The Olympics are going to be in Paris, and for most people, like I don't know, for me, like if I'm going to watch a sporting event, like I'm the type of person I want to watch it live, like as it's happening, right? I don't want to watch a tape delay, especially in the internet age nowadays, where stuff can get spoiled for you, or people are going to post the headlines because hey, this is done already, and we gotta, this is my job. I got to put the news out, right? There's
yeah.
no sense in delaying it, right? So,
Yep.
I think yeah, I think there's even like a recent or an upcoming boxing match that's in the UK, and they're like catering the time to be like prime time in the US, and everybody over there is just like, well, why don't you guys have it, at a decent time for the locals that are gonna attend? And I mean, from a business standpoint, it's like the pay per
Money.
view is
Yeah.
millions of people all over the world, and primarily the US, probably, versus however many people you could fit in your stadium, maybe 50,000, if that, 30,000. Like like you said, it's exactly money. So it's
Yeah.
it's one of the things that I guess I don't want to say hardships, or just one of the just something you got to deal with having a worldwide event. It's like you want to. I don't know. I guess fighting games or esports in general is a little different because I don't know about you, but people make a big deal about 8 a.m. pools. Can you imagine that they're like, you know what, guys, we're gonna play at 3 a.m. because we gotta cater to the US prime time market, right? Like, how many people are gonna be for that?
Dude, I mean, like that's analogous to the entire transformation that the FGC's been going under since you and I started playing, right? Is that gradually
Mhm.
the focus has shifted from players to spectators. Like when we joined the scene, like fresh out of the dark ages, right? Street Fighter was coming back, and but what kept it alive was these grassroots tournaments run by players for players. And then,
Yeah,
over the years, we've seen companies start to invest, like whether they're the game development companies or investments into the game development companies, which then invest into the fighting game community. Like again, like Saudi Arabia buying a portion of Capcom, or
yeah,
Sony buying Evo. Like there's all these different interests now, and so the product is less so about making a good tournament for the spectator or for the players there, and more about the spectators. And that's frankly been a complaint that people have had about
yeah,
Evo since we started going. Realistically, is that
yeah.
it keeps getting more and more corporate.
Yep, it's getting bigger, and like, yeah. I mean, that's probably the most common word that I've heard people say. It's become more corporate,
And
less
while
grassroots, more corporate.
while Evo Japan is also like a branch of that corporation, it is nice to see how an event starting out, because again, it's like 2 or 3 years old now, I think. um
Yeah, I think
this
it's
is their oh, sorry, go ahead.
yeah. I was gonna say, I think it's the second one. Is it the second one
Is it second? Okay. I just
or
remember
the
like
third? Maybe you're right.
it's got a reputation for being bad for the first one.
Yeah,
And it's the successor to SBO, which a lot of people I would
yeah,
listening to this may not even know what Super Battle Opera is even anymore. But
yeah,
so it's like it's got that like unique combination of being still a little bit grassroots. It just happened to have the corporate hand and the Evo brand on top of it, including all the
yeah.
downsides of it, like everything running late.
Oh wait, you're right. It is the third one. The very first one was back in 2020. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It
So
was right before the pandemic shut everything down. I remember
yeah,
that.
so it was
Yeah,
in 2020. Yeah, that's why I was
yeah,
probably thinking it was only two, because that other one was way back then.
yeah. Nauman, he won Street Fighter 5 that year, and everyone's like, Sakura is the best, and then everyone shut down. Like we all like got locked in, and we're like, I guess Sakura is the best. There's no more
Yeah.
tournament results to go off of.
Yeah, well, speaking of tournament results, I mean, from the top six, I mean,
Yeah,
the capturing their first Evo title, we had Mena RD, who we've talked about plenty on this show already. With Mike being on and visiting the DR, he's always had good things to say about him. You've
yeah,
had good things to say about him, and that's been like the one thing in his trophy case that he's missing. Right? He's got two Capcom Cups. He got second at Evo Vegas last year, right, to Angry Bird,
yep,
and that was like the one thing that he was missing, was that Evo title.
yep. Do you want to go full sports
Uh,
analyst on this one and be like, because obviously you and I are not Evo title holders, but uh, the legitimacy of that being an Evo title like, would you call that an Evo win, or would you call that an Evo Japan win?
I think at this point, because there are two different events now, like you can still call him an Evo champion, but you got to specify that it's Evo Japan. And it's not to say that that's any less of an accomplishment, because I mean, as we know, like Japan's full of killers, and it's just like I don't know what the final numbers were there. I mean, it's not as big as Vegas, but it's still, you still got a ton of great players that you got to get through to in order to win that tournament. So it's not like it's one of these smaller ones in one of the smaller countries. Like this is in the heart of Street Fighter, and in Japan. So it's
Yeah.
like all the best players that want to attend are most likely there.
Yeah, the irony around all this is that Japan is, for the entirety of my tenure in the FGC, has been considered the strongest region in Street Fighter. And so the asterisk of it being like, well, it was in Japan is also kind of like a reverse where it's like, well, it was also in Japan. It was the hardest one, you know? And
Yeah,
frankly, like anybody who was going to be competing there internationally would have gone to either Vegas or Japan, right? So you're still getting the best of the best.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah. I mean, yeah, I would still consider it's a Evo title. I mean, I
yeah.
did see, excuse me, he did tweet about the fact that he felt kind of complete after winning this.
Yeah.
And this is what was missing for him, and he's like, "What should I do next?" And I was looking at a lot of the replies, and it was kind of mixed between you got to win Evo Vegas, and then the other one was you should get into content creation. And I thought that was really interesting because it's just like, um, I don't know, he's one of the top players that's, I guess, not doing content, or at least even just basic streaming, right? Because you've
Yeah.
got, when I think of like content creators for the FGC, I think of like Brian F. I think of the Birds. I think of Punk. Punk streams a lot. There's a lot of Snake Eyes, F Champ, those kind of people. Like they have notoriety, and they have a following from the content they make and the streams that they have out there.
Mhm. Yeah.
So
I
I don't know.
mean,
It's
that's like, are you on the quest to earn more money, or could
yeah,
again, he's also in the position where he's able to he can do something that nobody else in the world can right now, and that he's favored to win every major tournament that he enters from here on out, right? And
yeah,
like, is there an opportunity that doesn't fall into something that someone's already done before, you know?
mhm,
Is there a space for coaching, becoming a professional coach? Is there a space for like creating lessons, like a lesson, like being a good teacher? Because again, like realistically, like we've had like that metafy thing and that layer of coaching and people charging for lessons in the scene before, but
yeah,
not Men RD. You know, he has an
yeah,
opportunity to transform that space, I think. Um, and whether or not, or maybe he just keeps competing. I don't know.
yeah. Yeah, I think I just I thought it was most interesting the fact that there was a lot of people that wanted him to create content,
Yeah.
and I wonder if that's kind of a combination of one, like him being as skilled as he is, plus kind of having the respect of like basically everyone at this point. Like he's one of those players like as much as I love watching Filipino champ, there was a lot of like negativity and trash talk, and he's a heel. There's a lot of people that didn't like him, right? Same thing with like some other players like Chris G, those kind of things, right?
Hmm.
Despite their level of talent, like there was like a negative side to it as well. And like I don't get that feeling at all coming from Mena at all. And I
Yeah.
wonder if it's kind of a combination of that, and also wanting to learn from like you said, who's the best in the world right now.
I mean, we have the other side of it is that in today's day and age, negativity sells more than positivity, right? So, does he actually have the brand to actually like create content? Does he have the personality for it? I frankly, I would consider that a waste. Because I think he's still at
Yeah,
the top of his game right now. If he wanted to retire, sure, and if he just tired of competing, I get it. Um,
yeah, yeah,
but I I don't know. I So in the back of my mind, right? Like I was thinking about it when he won. Like, who is the absolute, like, who is the last person to really take it to Japan in their hometown, right? Because that's what happened is
mhm,
he went to Evo Japan and then he beat everybody there. Like, not he didn't squeak by. Like he kicked the shit out of everybody there. He
Yeah,
won
yeah.
in
It was
winners
convincing. Yeah.
finals, in grand
Hmm.
finals 3-0, right? And
Yeah.
so like the only person that I know that's ever threatened Japan in Street Fighter, like not just in my tenure in the FGC, but period. Like if we talk all the way back to the ST days, Japan's always been on top. The only person I can think of is Infiltration. And
Yeah.
so you have a question of comparing these two men's legacies, right? Of like Infiltration basically ran the tournament circuit for Street Fighter 4 and was the only non-Japanese player to really put the Japanese on notice. And MenRD is now
Yeah.
doing that same thing. Um, and when you brought up negativity earlier and the negative reputation, Infiltration came to mind because he ended up getting canceled. And
Yeah.
there's people smarter than us that have written very large blogs about that. Shout outs to Tanner King Hippo. And so that's also a question of mine for Meta, which is like he's got that spotless reputation right now, and I credit him for being a good role model to the kids all the time. But is there going to be something like that happens to him? Does that negativity come later?
Yeah.
Um, and alternatively, is that necessary for success in today's content creator climate? That's why I'm like, it might be a waste to throw him into that fucking machine.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the other point you brought up was great too, because like you said, like he's at the top of his game, right? Like he's in the prime of his fighting game career. I think a lot of people were I was gonna say from the beginning of Street Fighter Five, right? Like when he beat Takedo at Capcom Cup, there was a lot of questions about whether he was that good, right? Whether it was kind of a fluke win. Then, like he does well, throughout the rest of his kind of Street Fighter Five career. Then he caps it off with the Capcom Cup last year,
Mhm.
right? And that kind of I think put to rest a lot of questions about how good he was,
Yeah, it
right? And
wasn't
then
a
a lot of
fluke.
people, when six came out, a lot of again people were like, "Is he going to be good in this game?" Right? That's always the question, for any player, really. You were good in five, you were good in four, whatever. Are you going to be good at this game? And
Yep.
he's answered that question. You know, like you said, he ran through everybody in Japan, so it wasn't a matter of like, you can't even like question like his dominance at this point. Like he's head and shoulders above like everybody else at this point.
Agree. And so the unique part about this, and we actually have had long conversations in the past about what it means, the will to keep winning, right? He's
Mhm.
at the top right now. Where else do you go? You only go down. Yeah. And
Yeah,
so
yeah.
if
See,
you have a
that's
legacy
the other
to
thing too.
preserve, yeah.
Yeah, it depends. It depends on like how much he wants that, because like that's like your biggest motivation, right? That's going to be
Yeah.
your motivation is like what's going to motivate you now. Like the Evo title was, in the back of his mind something that he needed to get, and he got that. He got one. So it's just like, is he going to be as motivated nowadays?
It's it's different for him specifically too, because it's not just about because any given game, right? There's always going to be somebody who's the best. Like
Hmm.
but the problem is that he's the best and the second of the non-Japanese in a series that has been cut, like, again, completely
Yeah,
dominated by the
dominating.
Japanese for what is it, 30 years. So
Yeah,
like he's done something that nobody else in the world except for one other person can do, and he's done it with keeping his reputation clean and hasn't been canceled. So like
yeah,
he is kind of a one of a kind deal right now. And so literally the only thing that can happen is you just get worse. Like you start losing more tournaments and then everyone asks if you're washed up from here on.
yeah. Like I said, like I think it's a matter of like how complete does he feel at this point, and how much motivation does he have? Because um, it's actually like uh, a great thing that was brought up, because like so that's kind of hit two things that have happened in sports that I've listened to, or that happened to my team. So like with the Rams, um, one of their defensive players, Aaron Donald. He's arguably like a top three defensive player ever in the history of the NFL. Right? He
Cool.
announced his retirement like last month, and he still has gas in the tank. Like it's not like he was washed up. I still think that he had probably a good 2 or 3 years, but he accomplished everything that he wanted to do. And I think he said he wanted to play 8 years. He played 10 years, right? And his like pretty much like he's going to be in the Hall of Fame like when he's eligible, a first ballot Hall of Famer. That's like the pinnacle of any sports career is like, am I going to get in the Hall of Fame, right? Other than winning championships, it's like, am I going to be in the Hall of Fame? And that then that's what he is, right? And then the other thing was I was listening to a podcast yesterday when I was at work, and it was about this basketball player, and it was on the opposite end, right? So he played for Duke University basketball. What's his name? JJ Redick, and he lost the
Yeah.
championship. And he was talking about how he had a meeting with the coaches, like he was real down on himself, right? And I think he said during the summer after they lost, the coach was like, "You lost that game because you weren't good enough to be a champion." And like that ate at him, but at the same time, he's like, "That was like the best thing that ever happened to me because it gave him the motivation to be better and to improve himself to the point that he had a long career in the NBA."
Sure.
And it's just like, if I had made the game-winning shot and won the championship, who knows if I would have, been as productive of a player as I was. And it's kind of like the whole Alex Valle Daigo thing, right? And he's like, if I would have beat Daigo, was it Alpha 3?
Mhm.
I would have retired. But he lost, and then he was just like, now he's got this motivation, like, oh man, there's somebody else out there that's kicking my ass that's better than me.
Yeah. And that's like the irony is that, we when we're helping coach people or like, like new players are trying to like come to terms with their own expectations, the saying we always say is like there's always somebody better. And so
Hmm.
it's a very minuscule group of people in this world that can actually say, no, there's nobody better. And
Yeah.
so we're kind of talking about like what's it like to stand on top of that pinnacle and what's it like to be on that mountain. And I don't know, I don't think you or I are going to be able to figure that one out. That's the motivator, right? We can barely stay
Yeah.
motivated trying to do good in our locals, right?
Yeah.
um,
Exactly.
so
There's too
I
many distractions, other things going on, right?
yeah. So like when you already accomplished literally everything that is the top of the game, like what motivates you. And I don't know, I'm not gonna figure that out because I'm still trying to figure out what motivates me for regular stuff.
Yeah, I guess it just really depends because, like, he's talked about how he wants to continue to like build on his legacy and continue to win. So
Yeah.
I mean, we'll see, if that holds true, because like I mean, it's easy to get not be motivated anymore, after accomplishing so much, and then you always have that target on your back too. So it's like people are going to be gunning for you.
I think the route would probably be to win a couple of the big money tournaments and then use that money to turn it into some kind of investment opportunity or platform. Um,
Mhm.
but whether that's inside or outside the FGC. I
Yeah.
don't
Oh,
think.
well, that's the other thing too. Like, what else is his motivation besides winning fighting games and being good at fighting games, right? Like, yeah, there's money to be made, but it's not like, I mean, other than Capcom Cup, winning tournaments, even like the major ones that are left here, like CEO and Combo Breaker, like that's not enough to sustain you.
Yeah, you got to win those Saudi Arabian esports cups. That's the reality of it. No, I'm not even
Yeah.
kidding. Like
No,
it's
I know.
find one or two big money tournaments. Maybe it's Capcom Cup again. I don't know. Um,
Yeah,
get that and then use that money to start the retirement process. But the
yeah,
idea of jumping into the content creator rat race where you're probably like obviously he's going to start out with a head start, right? But like
yeah,
he's competing with people that are better at content creation right now and he's the best
yeah.
at
Well,
something
like
else.
you said, he might
Yeah.
not even be good at that, right? Like you
Yeah.
said, like he might not have the personality for that,
Yeah.
because like you could be the greatest player and not have engaging content or be an engaging person. And
Yeah.
then there's people out here that aren't the most skilled, but they're great personalities, they're funny, or they engage their community on a much higher level, and they're successful streamers. So it's not.
Yep.
It's not always tied to your skill level.
Agree.
Yeah. So what's
So
up,
we
Crazy
we
Freeze
spent
in
this
this chat
entire
here?
time, yeah, we spent this entire time talking about MenRD and the results of Evo Japan there, and that's literally the only person we talked about. Do you happen to have the list of the other top six?
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, I thought it was a great kind of point, like you were talking about, just the fact that like he's in his prime, and it's just like, what's his motivation going forward here?
Yeah,
But besides him, besides the winner, which was Menardi, second place was Kakaru still playing JP, and then we had Lex Guile from the US, who is JB's brother, the Rashid player.
that is fascinating to me that a U.S. player and a relative unknown and from the U.S. Obviously, like the people that know his guile, right? But like,
Yeah, yeah.
um, for him
I
to
didn't
just
know who
show
it
up
was.
and just, yeah, for him to beat everybody in Japan like the way he did. I watched how he played in top six, and he played fantastic. Um, like I just there's some weird like irony around that because of all the times the Japanese have come over to Evo Vegas and eaten our lunch, you know.
Yeah.
um,
Yep.
I so for a
You're
random
back to claim
American
it for us.
player, yeah, and again, he's not random. He's a good player. He's fantastic, but again, like he doesn't have the brand name recognition of like Punk, right? If Punk had won, everyone would be like,
Yeah.
"Oh, look, Punk is that good. He's better than Japan. There just aren't as many of him, right?" But no, like a member of the U.S. common folk went over to Evo Japan, the land of the killers, and beat them.
Yeah.
So cool.
Yeah. So besides Lex, yeah, who had a great showing for the US, there was Ryu Kichi that was playing Ken,
Yeah, he was good.
uh, VX Bao that was playing JP and Ken, and then
Yeah,
one of your favorite players, Moke, playing Chun Li that was tied for fifth.
yeah, I'm okay. Yeah, he was. It was a heartbreak watching him lose. Um, I almost turned the tournament off then and there because it was like 2 a.m. at that point. I'm like, fuck this. But I kept going because I'm like, I wanted to see if Mena would win. And then I didn't think
Yeah.
he would win. Again, I didn't think he would win that resoundingly. I had resolved myself to turn it off when Mena lost.
Oh, you mentioned 2 a.m. That's actually why I was able to watch it. This is because of the fact that I was working. I work at night, and the fact that I was like,
Oh,
oh shit, Evo Japan is tonight, and I was just like, oh, so when I had breaks when I wasn't like driving around town, I was just like, that's when I was tuning in. So I didn't see a lot
nice.
of Lexus matches. I heard about other things, but I did tune into pretty much whatever I could during the top six that night.
Nice. Yeah, so what did we have? We had a Luke slash Blanca. We had a JP, a Ken, a
Guile,
Chun, a Guile,
and then another
um,
Ken
and
was
then another
VX
JP.
Bow.
VX Bal played Ken as well. I didn't know that. Huh.
That's what it's showing. It says JP and Ken on event hubs, and then if you want to make it the top eight, we had Tomato Man at Blanca, and then Zhao Hai playing Ken.
There we go.
So
There's your tier list, ladies and gentlemen. Cammy's in the top eight. Jury can win $1 million. We can't crack top eight at Evo Japan.
yeah.
Nah, none of that. Yeah, that's funny stuff. But okay. So again, not a lot of foreigners. Like like if you look deeper into those results, like if you go to event hubs or something and check that out, like like Ending Walker's in there, Punk is in there. I think a couple of like well-known U.S. players stayed in the U.S., but there was a decent amount of EU and US representation at Evo Japan. They just didn't, show past top 32, I think. The
Yeah, exactly.
Japanese
Yeah,
definitely.
there's
Yeah.
definitely definitely some other players in there. And then the other thing, like you said, that the people that were staying in the U.S. was that there was Texas Showdown that was going on the same weekend. That was
Yeah.
a big. I remember when the announcement came out for Evo Japan. Like that
Yeah.
was one of the things that was just like, why do you guys have to be the same weekend, right? So I'm sure that kind of hurt their numbers. And then
Yeah.
you know, I mean, traveling internationally is not cheap. So it's just like for the people that could go, looks like, I mean, I follow a lot of people in the FGC on Twitter, Justin Wong, Sherry, and them, and like looks like they had a great time. Smug,
Sure.
yeah. So
I think
it's
that
not,
this is just us in America needing to recognize that we're not the center of the entire globe. Not just the center of the
yeah,
country, but like the entire globe. Like they can't, maybe they can because of the spectator power. But there's no
yeah,
way like we can expect every country like every tournament internationally to accommodate us date wise. Like that's we have a hard enough time of that with locals, like people not stopping each other's date. Like Maynard had that issue with Game On Expo in his championship series, right?
Yeah.
Can you imagine being like, no one else can run a tournament, even if you're not in the same time zone. No one else can run a tournament at the same time as me. That's just not practical.
Yeah, exactly. It's not practical at all. But no, I mean that, and like the with the way that the Capcom Pro Tour was last year, they were seeking a more kind of global representation. So I mean that's just kind of the way things are right now. I mean whether or not that's going to be actually I think they announced some of the other locations if I'm not mistaken, but I don't have that pulled up.
Oh, you talking about the Capcom Cup? Yeah, they announced
Yeah.
that their Capcom Pro Tour is coming back. Surprise, and then yeah, there were a couple different. There were more offline majors than online majors. So I think they took
Hmm.
the feedback pretty well. I mean, rather, there's still online qualifiers for sure, but that there's
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think there were like 8 offline majors, so much
Yeah,
better
oh
than
yeah, I think
the
there's
ones that
one. I
we
think there
had.
was one like in the middle of like Wisconsin or something like that.
Yeah, there were a couple like random ones. I'm like, oh, that's interesting because CEO and
Yeah.
Combo Breaker aren't on there, but that has I think more to do with the calendar year than anything else.
Yeah.
Uh,
So I wonder, yeah, I don't know.
Fine with
Yeah,
me
maybe it did.
actually.
Maybe it.
Like I think it was Scott who said something like, there's before the pandemic, destroyed like a lot of the local
Mhm.
regional majors, right? Um,
Yeah.
like he was saying there's too many majors, but now we have a problem where there's only like 3 big ones in the US and traveling is
Yeah.
expensive now. Like Evo, we've talked at length about how Evo's new arrangement kind of sucks.
Yeah.
With the convention center and it costing like $200 for a weekend ticket now. Um,
Mhm.
so it would be nice to have a little bit more competition. So the idea that Capcom Pro Tour is elevating some of these smaller events rather than the big three, I think that's actually a good look.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm happy to see that. I remember when I did Southwest Shockwave. Was it back in 2017? It
Hmm.
was part of the that curly mustache thing that Yipes was doing. I
Oh yeah,
remember
yeah.
they were just yeah, because and it was because like it was in the middle of everything else that was going on, right? There was like CEO and everything else, and they were just like, "Hey, would you like to be a curly mustache event? Well, we'll get a custom shirt made and stuff like that for your event." And I was like, "Sure, cool."
That's awesome.
Yeah, yeah. So
Um,
I mean, we'll see where things go with that.
yeah. Um, there's the calendar stuff too. As far as like Combo Breaker is, I know recently been they have reached out to their community and their registrants about whether or not the season 2 patch should be legal for their tournament. Because my understanding, if I
Yeah,
look at the calendar, actually, like Combo Breaker is the weekend of the 25th, I think,
yeah.
and the
It's
balance
usually
patch,
Memorial Weekend.
yeah, and the balance patch drops on the 22nd. Um,
I say let it rock. I don't know about you. I say one, it's not part of the Capcom Pro Tour, so it's just like
yeah,
they don't have to kind of adhere to that, and it's just like I think it would make it more entertaining. I mean,
for
whether or
you,
not as
for
a
the players, or
competitor,
for the spectators.
no, for the spectators. I mean, that's what I was gonna say. That was the other side. It was just like as a player, as a competitor, like I understand like people are just like, oh well, I'm only gonna have 3 days to make adjustments or to learn Akuma and blah blah blah. So I mean, I see both sides. Personally, like I would say let it rock.
You, but would you say that because you're watching and you know you're not going? If you were playing in it, would you say let it rock?
I don't. At this point, like I think I would still would be for it, just
Okay.
because like it's not part of the tour. Because I feel like the people that are going there are one. I mean, other than supporting Combo Breaker and the fact that that's what the one major that I've always heard great things about. It's the fact that I feel like everybody else is um, going to those other the Capcom Pro Tour events for that reason, right? Like they want to qualify for the Capcom Pro Tour. So it's just like, why not have this major event that has no bearing on that whatsoever, and we just let it rock.
I If it were me and I was going to Combo Breaker, I'd be pissed. All things considered, because like
Yeah,
my motivation for going to Combo Breaker is to play at my best and play at the highest level as I possibly can. That's because That's the point of traveling for a major to me, is that I want to be able to play at a
Yeah,
level that is outside of my local scene. Um,
yeah,
and to have a dice roll involved in that, because the reality is like, what if I played a character that is likely to get nerfed, which actually I do, you know?
yeah.
As a sim player, he's not likely to get nerfs, right? So you might be like, yeah, let it rock. But if I was a JP player or a Luke player,
Oh,
and I've just spent like, how much does it cost to go to Combo Breaker? Right now, it's like probably like $3,000 for
yeah,
for
it's
us.
almost the same. Yeah, if you count the hotel and yeah, the airfare
Well,
and everything. Yeah. Well, I
so
guess
it's like,
so. The one thing that would probably piss me off the most if it happened was if I got hit by something that was like a new change, right? And it's just
yeah,
like because, like you said, like you only have 3 days, so like if all of a sudden, like there's a move that's normally -2, and I'm like, all right, it's my turn, and all of a sudden it's +2 now, and I forgot about that, and I press
yeah,
the button and I lose. I would have been like, oh my god, like I that that was one of the changes.
yep.
That would piss me off to know it.
And then what would happen is, if that was on stream, then the audience would go wild and be like, look, it changed. Isn't this great? And we run into an issue here. And the only cool thing about this problem, in my opinion, is that it's very clear cut. Do you benefit the players or do you benefit the spectators? And it's kind of at the theme of like our general conversation today, is that the FGC is gradually starting to benefit spectators more. If you think about
Yeah,
like what the chat would say, if the stream chat would say if they found out it was not on the latest patch, that would probably be a message like every other line in the chat, right? People would just keep bringing that shit up, and it would hurt
yeah,
the integrity of the tournament in a different way, from the spectator perspective, and then that translates to money lost.
yeah.
um I don't know. It's a
Well,
shitty
I guess
position to be, the shitty like thing to have to solve just because of some calendar dates and dev cycles, but ugh.
yeah. Well, I mean, what's his name? Rick, the Hado, that the TO of Combo Breaker said he's like you said, he's sending out an email to the registered players. So I guess we're gonna find out what the players want to do. You
Yeah.
know, and I mean that I can agree with because at that point it's like you're taking it out of your hands, and it's like because I wouldn't want to make that decision either, honestly. Like I mean, like I said, I say that I would let it rock, but I'm sure if somebody was to lose because of something, or like you said, came in there and lost and was like, well, my character got nerfed, and I had planned this trip, and spent all this money. Like I could certainly see people being upset and taking it to the TO. And like,
Yeah.
why would you do this? So the fact that he's putting the onus on the players and just say, hey, I'm going to leave this up to you, then we're going to see what the majority of the players want.
I mean, call me cynical too. I've never met Rick. I've only heard good things about working with him, but he did not commit to that in the tweet, saying that the players are going to decide. He was just asking. He said he was sending out a poll, and so
Oh, okay.
I think that there's a corporate side to this too, and there's a PR side to this, where it's like you can source the players for information, but
Hmm.
ultimately, if that if you land on the decision that is not in favor of the players, you can fall back on it and be like, well, I asked the players, and then are they going
Hmm.
to publish the results of that poll? I don't know.
Hmm.
I want to see like how transparent they actually are on this. And again, I've only heard good things about Rick, so I'm not trying to be overly pessimistic here.
Yeah. Well,
But
yeah. I mean, yeah. That is a good correction. Like, yeah, he didn't say it outright. Like, yeah, tell me what you guys want to do. He just said he was going to gauge interest, basically.
yeah,
If I'm not mistaken.
and that in turn triggers this content creator conversation, the cycle where everyone's going to discuss that and have an opinion on it, and then you're going to see spectators weigh in, because by and large, if you look on Reddit or on X or anything like that, everybody says let the patch rock, right? But
Hmm.
very few of them are actually going to Combo Breaker, and so it's really
Exactly.
difficult
They're,
to,
they're, yep.
yeah,
And they're
I don't
not in
know.
Rick's shoes to take the brunt of the negativity that's going to come with whatever decisions made.
It's not just negativity, man. It's money lost, like outright. Like you
Yeah.
lose
Oh
stream
no. Yeah.
viewers, right? Um,
Yeah.
so I don't envy that position, but I think they're going to make a decision behind closed doors, and we're going to have to deal with it. And there's just not a good answer overall. I
Yeah.
agree with you. I would rather see the new patch as well. But if I was playing, fuck that. Okay. Well, season we were talking about season two. Do you want to talk about Akuma or season two, or like
I was gonna
what's on
say,
your
well,
mind
before we
there?
before we move there, I was like,
Yeah.
didn't they have that situation with Evo last year with Rashid? Was it
Yeah, but
Evo
that's
or was it?
different than a yeah, yeah. It was
Oh, but that was just a character, right? There
it's
wasn't an
a new
update to
character.
go
Yeah,
with it.
it's not an update where everybody's character changes and they add a new universal
Yeah.
mechanic,
Oh,
which
yeah.
we'll
Yeah,
get
okay.
into
Yeah,
later.
yeah. That's true.
Yeah,
That's true. That's true. That's okay. Yeah. So I mean, I don't know. Maybe I have to go back on that because I was thinking about the Rashid situation last year, and I was like, everybody seemed okay with that, other than like
yeah,
people being like, "Oh man, I'm going to lose to this, lose to Rashid, and I'm going to be pissed off." But the fact that there is going to be an update that's going to affect every character in the game, like,
yeah.
yeah, I don't know. As a competitor, I'd
It's
probably be like, nah.
it's like if you, here's another way to phrase it. If you if circa 2010, if you paid money to go to final round and fly all the way out there to play vanilla Street Fighter 4, and then you get there and they're like, "Hey, Super came out. We're playing Super." Then you got to deal with that, right? Everyone's changed. Everything's different. Or even like Ultra came out and oh, we have red focus
Yeah.
now. It's like
Well, Super, I'd be okay. I mean, I was playing Honda at the time. Nah.
yeah, but you wouldn't know that. You didn't know that Honda was top tier back
Nah, nah,
then, right? Yeah.
nah,
Uh,
nah.
we didn't know shit about Super versus Vanilla. We still don't, arguably.
Yeah, yeah. There's a lot
Everybody
of stuff
has,
that was
yeah,
they have theories about it, but yeah,
never
it
put into
wasn't enough time
practice.
to.
Yeah.
Yep, not enough time for it to marinate and for it to grow, man. Too many updates.
Yeah. That's another point of conversation. But I because well, this game's been out for almost a year now, and then, so this is the
Hmm.
the second meaningful balance patch. The first one occurred a couple months ago, right? And
Yeah,
I hear discourse back and forth about whether or not this is the right timing for it. And you talk about giving the game time to marinate, right? This is technically less time than vanilla Street Fighter 4 had, but information travels much quicker, and there's $1
yeah,
million on the line. So I'm actually good with this yearly thing. Um,
yeah.
but I don't
I'm
know.
okay with it. It's like I think the biggest thing that I think about because I was kind of listening to the one of our early episodes, like the beta discussion that we were
Yeah,
having with Scott and Jeff, and
it's one of my
um, I
favorites.
remember I remember you guys, or I remember you. I think you specifically were talking about the fact that, or even recently, you were talking about how kind of fine tuned everything is right now, right? And even if we tune just a little bit of anything with the drive system, like the ramifications of that are are a lot greater than most people think, right? And it's
Yeah,
just like, well, we should increase damage on or increase damage on perfect parry, or we should take out throw loops, or we should increase how much drive rush is or put people in punish counter state. And it's just like you kind of got to put all of that together and really kind of look at it and not just this is giving me problems, please fix this, right? Like there's a whole ecosystem involved that's going to be
hmm
affected by one little change. What might
yeah,
seem like a little change to you is going to have ramifications all over the place.
yeah. It's a house of cards, man. Um,
Oh,
and
that was the analogy I was thinking of. Yeah, House of Cards, right?
yeah, and like I know you said that you weren't like really like paying a ton of attention to the load test research that people have done, because again, it can be kind of hit or miss on whether or not someone's telling the truth. But
Yeah.
uh, one thing that I think is billed as a universal change, which I think is kind of hard to fuck up as far as like lying about it, is that they make it so you can drive reversal on wake up now,
Hmm.
and that in turn changes offense in the entire game. Like I
Yeah.
knock you down, now you like the Dawson player has like an additional option, but it also has an
Yeah.
additional cost, so that affects the drive economy. And like
Yep.
there's so much more, and then like imagine me from the perspective of having, now I have drive reversal and I have a dragon punch. I have an OD reversal at the same time. So I could still spend two
Yeah.
bars, but I have to pick between the two now, and they both cover roughly the same thing. It's just that one is safer, and then one is
Yeah,
invincible and will cause a knockdown, and
yeah.
you know,
What does
it'll blow
damage?
through a
Yeah,
lot of stuff. Yeah,
yeah,
and so it's like the reward risk reward has changed a lot. Throw loops are now less are going to lose to that, right? So it's another option that beats throw loops, and it's a universal option that beats throw loops. So now you
yeah.
have, are all the characters that rely on throw loops weaker? Are the characters like mine that don't have throw loops stronger because of it? You know, there's so
And then
much.
when you really think about it, right? It's adding to your mental stack on defense too, because now you're just like, do I jab? Do I delay jab? Do I tech? Do I delay tech? Do I
Mhm.
normal drive reversal? Or wait till I block something and then reversal? Or do I wake up reversal?
Yeah, to
Do
nerd
I
out
jump?
here, right? Like you can do a, it's kind of like Ed's DP where it has 20 frame startup, right? So you can whiff two jabs and still block in time. So then that makes it so, is everyone going to start meeting with jabs now? Does that mean perfect parry becomes a bigger deal because everyone's meeting with jabs? And they have to have very
Yeah,
precise timing to OS for the drive reversal. Like, there's a lot there, and that's just the system change. That's not even taking into account all the character individual changes, which I agree we don't need to talk too much about that today. Um,
yeah, yeah.
but and again, when the patch actually drops, we'll probably pick it apart. I bet we'll bring Tanner back because Tanner will probably have a lot to say about all that stuff.
Oh,
But
one thing about the
yeah,
patch, like, so I have I've heard some people say like, please release the notes like 2 weeks ahead of time. Like, are
yeah.
you in favor of that? Do you care, or would you rather just be like, all right, it's time, it's a time to update and go in the lab and read the notes or whatever?
Uh, I would like to know in advance.
In
I don't
advance,
see
yeah.
ever a reason to not publish them in advance unless it's a marketing tool now, which it is. Like, because what it's going to do
Mm,
is it's going to create a ripple across the FGC. Everyone's going to start making content about it. There's going to be videos that are
yeah,
made. Like, people are going to be making money off of that when that PDF drops.
yeah,
So uh, I that would be the reason to hold it back, is to stay in the news cycle for X amount of time. Um,
mm,
like you have this Loke test that happened this past week in Nagoya, right? And so you have a bunch of pro Japanese players driving across the country for it, posting on Twitter in Japanese, and then you have us in America like running Google Translate on it, and then trying to figure out like what is a panic cannon, right? A panic cannon is
yeah,
the way they pronounce punish counter, or
yeah,
what is Jasper, right? And that's just parry, which is perfect parry. Like you have all these like weird translation errors and stuff, and what that's done is it's dominated the news cycle for a little bit. Like Brian S made videos about it. We're talking about it on this podcast here, and so that's going to filter
yeah,
out. Eventually, we're going to get bored over checking that stuff out, and then they'll drop the PDF with
yeah,
the actual changes. I'd like to see that sooner rather than later as a player, but from a marketing standpoint, probably not. Not a good idea until like a week before.
yeah, yeah. I can see that.
How about
I
you?
don't know. I just always, yeah, I wouldn't mind knowing ahead of time either. Like, I'm not so much worried about making content for it or stuff like that. I mean, we probably would discuss it, but
We are literally doing that
it's
right
more,
now.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I would like, it would be nice to kind of know ahead of time, like what am I going to be dealing with, come next week or 2 weeks from now.
Yeah.
You know, it's just more time to kind of absorb that information. Like I said, like if like if we're going to combo breaker 3 days ahead of time, like I'm not gonna remember everything, unless I printed out that thing or I have it screenshotted on my phone and I'm like, all right, who am I playing? I'm playing Blanca. This move is +3 now. Okay, don't do anything here. That kind of stuff, right?
Yeah. But what if they don't know that? The person playing the character
Yeah.
doesn't know that. Like that you have this weird like ambiguity layer to it where it's like, should I play like I used to or should I not? And I don't know because the game's
Yeah.
3 days old. Oh
Yeah, I
man.
don't know. Knowing me, I would just be playing the same way I'd normally be playing.
Okay. Well, do you have
Oh man.
any wish list items for season two? Again, we don't have to talk too much about the Loke test stuff, or like maybe if you've heard something that's piquing your interest, but like what has got you most excited about season two?
It was actually something I just posted in the Discord because I just lost to that earlier. Um, it was Luke's jump heavy punch.
Yeah, okay.
Supposedly that it has a much bigger hurt box, and yeah, I lost to what's his name? BMOC. He's usually up in the higher ranks. Um,
Okay.
Plays Luke. He likes to like do the delayed knuckle in the air, and it kind of always throws me off, right? Because just like a delayed dive kick always kind of throws off my your anti airs.
Sure.
He likes to do that. He likes to do was it
Lily
like
jump fierce.
the tackle? No, the tackle cancel in the level 3. And like I fall for it every now and then, and it like drives me crazy, right? Like I hit a button or something, or I try to DI it, and then he just cancels in the level 3. But that jump heavy punch, like I was coming back in that round, and I was like, he's gonna jump at me, and I was sure I anti-aired in time, and it beat and it traded, and I lost, and I was just like, so bad.
It traded. Okay.
I was Yeah, I traded, and I was like, and then I immediately went to Twitter, and I was just like, I'm pretty sure that this was one of the patch notes things, and I looked up high fight, and I was just like looking through the thing. I was like, "Where's Luke?" And I was just like, "Yes, it was. It's right here." I was like, "That's the one that I'm looking for."
You want them to nerf that? Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean it's the my problem with it is the hitbox being so it reaches so far down and it happens
Mhm.
so quickly that I've he jumps in really early with it, so I don't even get my DP out in time. I just eat the jump in because I'm busy doing
Yeah.
down down and return to neutral like a scrub. Um,
Yeah. I don't know. That's
no,
like
that move needs to
just
change. Like it's too good. That one and Ken's jump heavy punch, Aki jump roundhouse, JP jump roundhouse. Like there's a couple like really fucked up jump in buttons. Blanca jump roundhouse.
yeah.
But Luke's is the one that everybody really hates.
Yeah.
I think.
Luke reminds me of the Ryu jump short in Street Fighter 5 season 1. That was
Yeah, yeah.
I was like DJ
You
levels
can't
of
beat that
obnoxious,
shit.
dude. Like I couldn't do
Yeah,
anything. I was just like, this thing is beating out everything that I do.
yep. It shouldn't beat DPS, but it would beat DPS. It's like what the fuck.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay,
So what
so
about
nerf
you?
Luke.
Was there some Yeah, well, no, I mean, just I don't mind like necessarily like a lot of the other stuff. I mean, I think personally I don't like his character, but some of the tools like that he has, like that in particular, is just really kind of annoying to deal with.
Um, so in regards to like what I'm looking for, I guess one thing that I'm looking for, is I definitely want Luke to do less damage. And it
That
sounds
was
like
I think that was one of the other ones, but yeah, it's not.
um,
I think that's one of the ones that was, I guess, kind of confirmed. Was regarding
it,
his stand roundhouse.
yeah, damage and meter gain is really hard to take without a grain of salt for some of that translated feedback because like they're approximating based on looking at a TV that's not their own, and like there's no training. Well, maybe there is training mode. Maybe they're looking at that
No,
and have the
I don't think
numbers
it
written
was. I
down.
don't think it was damage. I think it was the frame data. Like they were saying, they couldn't combo it with drive rush anymore.
Oh yeah,
I
yeah,
think that's
Drive
what it
Rush
was.
background house. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. So, but that is one specific punish situation. But like, I'll eat a
yeah,
low strong DRC and then eat like a triple wall bounce combo. A wall like the
yeah,
three knuckles into a wall bounce in a corner,
yeah.
and like I don't want to feel that way anymore. I don't want to lose all my health for getting hit by a low strong DRC. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
and I don't know if that's going to be addressed or not because I just maybe they'll add like universal scaling on DRCs or something. I would actually be cool with that. Um, I think
Oh
they need to
man.
change low forward DRC as well because people are getting mad about that. Um, but my
Oh
character
man.
benefits from that, so I also would be fine if they left it intact.
Yeah, that's why
Any,
I drill so much.
why? Oh, to beat low forwards.
Yeah, to try to catch those low forwards because that's been like the bane of my existence in fighting games. Any fighting game that I play, Street Fighter 2, Street Fighter 4, it don't matter.
Yeah,
Like I have a tendency to walk back, and granted, I didn't play Sim in those other games, but I'd have a tendency to walk back, and I would get destroyed by low forward. Daigo destroyed me with low forward at Evo 2014 when we played. He basically got like four perfects on me, other than like some block damage,
sure.
and it's just like, yeah, that's been like the bane of my existence is getting caught low. So like
I
now that I have a tool,
we've talked a lot about like how we've evolved as players over the years, and I don't know if I ever, because I started out as an Ibuki player, and a Viper player, Ibuki player, like mix up heavy, and even in 5 I went back to Ibuki for a little bit and played mix up style, right? But there was like an
Yeah.
epiphany I had where I switched away from Ibuki because I realized that I wanted to use low forward more, and I realized that every Street Fighter game that I've ever seen ends with low forwards being good. Like that is, if everyone always talks about like what is Street Fighter, this is this game real Street Fighter or not, right? Every game that I've seen, uh, the top tier characters in every Street Fighter game I've seen ends with them being able to do low forward shit. Third Strike, you have Chun Li with low forward supers, Ken's with good low forward super. You have in Ultra Street Fighter 4, Evil Ryu, the Daigo
Yep.
doing four perfects on you. Low forward red focus, low forward FADC. Cross Tekken, the best characters in those games. That one of those is Chun. She has low forward. Uh,
Yeah.
Street Fighter 5, the entirety of the top tier of that game was whether or not you could confirm low forward off single hit. Uh, like every Street Fighter, Alpha 2 is all about having low forward, a good low forward, and then counterplay around low forward with custom combo. Like every Street Fighter, you can play that style. There are other styles that are still good, like Geef was good in 4, or Sim was good in 5, but
Yeah.
um, every there's always a low forward character represented really well in the top tiers of every Street Fighter
Yeah.
game. So
I agree.
yeah,
Yep.
so that's the part where I'm like, how do they nerf low forward DRC in this game? It's not like it's a new thing, and would that actually maybe that I think they might leave it intact for that reason.
Yeah. That and there's already damage scaling on that already, right? Like 20%.
There is, yeah. So maybe they
Yeah.
add more to
I was
it,
just,
but you can't make it so it's not worth doing low forwards anymore. Because again, that to me would not feel like Street Fighter, which is I'm catching
yeah.
myself accusing people of, like I the same thing that I accuse other people of doing, which is oversimplifying it. Um,
Yeah. Well, no, I mean that's true though, because like if you think about other fighting games, right? Like they have their different character types and all that. But yeah, like I don't know. Thinking about it now, like yeah, I would say the prevalence of low forward like characters, and that within the footsies game, right?
yeah,
Is that's at the essence of pretty much every Street Fighter game.
it,
Whether you love parry or not in third strike, whether you love focus attack or whether you love V trigger and crush counters in 5, like low forward is still a thing.
yeah. Um,
Oh,
otherwise, like any other like character specific changes that you would want to see? You want Luke nerfed. We both want Luke nerfed. And any other characters strike you as need buffs or other characters you want to see nerfed?
um, I don't know. I would say, I think the one thing that I've heard that I would agree with would be Geef's lariat, like the normal lariat, like the fact that he has to spend meter for it to hit clean. Like I think that personally kind of sucks, and like I don't think he should necessarily just trade. So I don't know. For one of the lower tier characters, I'd agree with that. I don't know. Some of the others, like I don't know. I don't think I really have sympathy for them. Like
Fair.
Lily and Minot, like I don't really care. You guys can stay down there. Geef's like one of the originals, so like I have a soft spot for him. Like I played him. He was one of my like my secondary characters in 4, just to kind of troll around online. So it's just like I have a soft spot for him. The others, like yeah, not so much.
Okay, so it's about who your favorite kid is then. I see how it is.
Yeah.
um, how about uh shoot, I forget who I was gonna say. It was oh yeah, the rumor on the street is that Honda got nerfed. And as
Oh yeah, that's
somebody who
that's
has a previous love affair with Honda here, like what are your thoughts on that? Does that character need to be nerfed or does it need to be buffed?
I don't think he like see that I think it's too early to kind of tell what they're doing because I think Scott's the one that's been talking about that on Twitter too. Is like people are quick to see the negative things, right? So they're like, oh, they get more pushback off of butt slam, right? So you can't Ocho immediately afterwards or whatever. Or was the thing I forgot the headbutt change, but I guess
Oh,
that's considered a nerf too.
yeah.
But like from what I've heard, like and kind of like our experience from or my experience from playing the character was like I didn't like playing him because I felt like I was playing kind of brain dead, right? Like I was headbutting everywhere because it was like, hey, it takes a fucking bar of drive gauge. Why not? If you can't perfect parry and perfect parry mini game, these headbutts, then guess what? I'm gonna keep doing it, and I'm gonna drain your drive gauge, right?
Yeah.
And I don't necessarily see it like obviously we got to see all the other stuff. So I'm like, if the trade off is get rid of that stuff, or the things that are posted out there now, and to give him better normals or have him become more of a footsie character, something like that, then I would like that change better, and I would probably consider possibly playing him again if he doesn't play the same way he does now.
So it's less about making him stronger or weaker and more about making him play differently because he's scrubby right now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's that was the big change from four, right? It was like from 4 to 5 was like it wasn't the hands pressure anymore, right? It was the headbutt and stuff like that. So it's just like I mean, whether or not I want people want that to be the thing, I don't know.
Five didn't make the headbutt. Further, don't blame this on five, by the way,
No, no, no,
because
not I was
yeah,
that's what I was gonna say. Like it's not a 5 thing either. I'm just saying
yeah, five was
from
still
four
hands
to where he
pressure.
is now.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was just fair compared to four.
yeah. I
Oh
mean, whether
man,
he's gonna get what he had in four, I doubt it. But
no,
I
I don't
wouldn't
think so.
mind seeing him being played. More than just headbutts and butt slams, dude.
Okay, I mean, that's what I saw in four. It was just headbutts and butts
Hey, but
and hands
it's the
and
same thing. It's
hands.
like
Yeah,
it's the same thing, right? But can you like I said, like in
and they
six,
nerfed him over and over again.
it takes one drive bar out. Like, why
Yeah.
wouldn't I be like, in footsies, be like, you know what, you want to throw out a low forward? Well, I'm gonna headbutt you for it, right?
Yep.
It's the same kind of thing. I mean, before they, like you said, before they nerfed him in four, everybody was like, why would you headbutt in my block string? Why would you EX headbutt in my block string? I was just like, well, because your block string's not fucking tight. And if you block it or I hit you, the pushback's so much that you can't punish me at all. So why shouldn't I do that?
Yeah, he had a safe reversal.
Exactly. So until they nerfed it, it was just like I was gonna reversal every time somebody put me in a block string because I was just like, if your block string's not true, guess what? I'm either gonna be safe or you're gonna get a knockdown and we're gonna start over.
See, this is why I think Honda can never actually be good in a modern fighting game. Is because he had shit like that, and there are Honda players who are like, I won't play him unless he plays like that. And then when you take that shit away, you realize that that character actually has no substance whatsoever, and that's what you get with six. You take
Give me the standing low, the stand roundhouse low.
why? No, fuck that.
I want so many rounds like that, just standing in footsie rage.
That's yeah. There's other
Oh
things. Thinking
man.
about Honda playing footsies. That's so. For the record, that is like what I hear on the streets as well as that they did buff his standing medium punch, so he can play footsies a little bit more now. So maybe he will be more rewarding in that regard, but I doubt it.
Yeah, we'll see.
um. Okay. Yeah, because that's the question: is do you balance around fun? Do you balance around balance? Do you balance around enjoyment of fighting the character? Like Lily is by all accounts, a well executed character, or maybe not a well executed character because everyone's bitches about how shitty she is, but she's also really annoying to fight against, and no one actually likes playing against her.
Well, okay,
So,
so the thing with Lily, right? So, I was actually just thinking about this today, um, because even with so all the characters that have like what do you even call those? Like the drinks and the spray cans and stuff like that. What would you consider those?
installs is what I usually say, but that's not. technically accurate either. Buffs.
Yeah, or like the Blanca dolls, that kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
Like, so like I know a lot of people like when they talk about Jamie, they're like, well, I hope that he would keep his drink level, right? Or like Kim, like you activate the level 3, and she's got the buffs for the rest of the game, right?
Yeah.
And I think it's even mentioned in one of the things talking about like whether or not she's going to use a can in her super
Yeah.
in one of her supers, and well, whether or not you get to keep it. And it's just like, how would you feel like if Lily was able to keep her win stock through rounds? Like, would you be okay with that?
Oh, fuck that.
No.
No way. No, 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 no. No way, dude. That character doesn't need buffs. It's the same problem I think Honda has, where it's just that character needs to be changed. Like I think she should have control over whether she uses the stock or not. But the problem is that
Hmm.
the character is so poorly designed that it's not worth using those special moves without the stock anyway. And
Yeah,
so
that's true.
at that point, it's just objectively better to have stocks at all time, kind of like Jury, right?
Hmm.
And fuck that. No, that's part of the game is you
Okay.
have to get those stocks, right? Because
Well, I
otherwise
figured
she'd be
I
too
asked is
good.
like, okay, so because like I've had this. I haven't played Jordan in a while, right? So I haven't played him at all, even like in the last month or whatever that I've been in ranked, right?
Uh-huh.
But I played a Lily today, and I actually felt bad for them because they were trying to get wind, and I was punching them the hell out of it, and it's just like it's it's one of those players that doesn't know how to approach other than I have the wind stock, and I'm gonna EX Spire in, or I'm gonna Condor dive in, and that was their only approach. Like there's no walking blocking, no nothing else, right? Not even trying to play footsies with her weapons or anything like that. Those are the lilies that give me trouble. This one was kind of like the run of the mill low level lily, and like I honestly felt bad because I almost got it was almost like four perfects, and I was just like, I think they had one good round, but the rest of the time I was just like shutting everything down, and I was like,
Okay.
this matchup really fucking sucks.
Good. That character is one dimensional. No, I'm serious. That character lacks depth. And like when you say, oh, like the Lily player that plays footsies, I have yet to play a Lily player that does that. They all do that shit. They get the thing that they install, and then they Condor Spire in,
Yeah.
they flip a coin, and then they back off and do it again. Like there's nothing else she can do. Um,
Yeah,
like it's literally just based around that sole game plan, and I think that's actually the main problem. That's why it's not fun to fight against, is that there's not a lot of
yeah,
extra depth there.
yeah. Oh man, I thought that was funny. That.
Yeah, no, fuck that. Don't buff the win stocks. That's part of the problem. That's part of the reason why she's not having fun.
Oh, your reaction was priceless.
Or we're not having fun. Yeah. So I have a bad matchup against Lily too. That's the other side of it. Like it's one of Chun's
Yeah,
weirdly bad matchups. And so
yeah,
I feel it when it's like she can get stocks for free against me because my fireball doesn't reach that far. And so I'm
yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
what do I do? I have to just chase her while she gets them. And I imagine if I chase her and I win, and then she starts with 3 the next round and destroys me for it. No, we already have that with Manon. Manon's a good example
Yeah,
of that, right?
yeah, that's
Where it's
true.
like I won the round, but she got 4 levels, so I'm fucked, even though I won.
Yeah.
Like that feels
Oh
shitty,
man,
dude.
yeah. Oh man,
Oh
that's
man.
too funny. Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, you make it that's a great point though, because like I said, like I think that's Lily's worst matchup, and like even the data that I was looking at, that somebody I forgot who it was that was compiling like the matchup data.
Yeah, yeah.
Like Lily's worst matchup is Dalsim, and I was like, yeah, I
Good.
know why, because she can't get her win. And same thing with Jamie. Like every Jamie player that I play, I walk forward immediately, and that's why, like you'll see whether they drink, and it's just like here this fierce, and then that's why you see them do the random palms and shit like that because they're hoping to catch that, hoping to catch me hitting them or trying to hit them.
You know what's funny is that when the game came out, I was talking with Jason Cole, who is one of the all time. He won
Oh
Evo for Super
geez.
Street Fighter 2, yeah, with Dalsum. So he was one of the original Dalsum players. And so I was
Hmm.
like, Chun Li got destroyed by Dalsum in Street Fighter 5. So I was like, if I stick with Chun, I got to make sure I have a counter character for Sim in this new game that's not out yet. So
Hmm.
who do you think a Dalsum player? Who does Dalsum traditionally lose to? And he said, play Lily because T Hawk beats Lily in ST, or T Hawk beats Sim in ST. And I was like, okay. And I tried Lily and she sucks ass and I decided against it. And now to hear, no, if I had stuck with that, Lily was like literally the worst option I could have picked to fight Dalsum. So
Oh man,
thanks
yeah,
a
that's
lot,
true.
Jason Cole. Thanks a lot, OGs. Go
Yeah,
back to your Kusoge game. That's
yeah, like
anyway.
I'm finding the yeah, I think that's if I had to like I don't know, I was actually thinking about doing that before the update too, before the make another tier list because like I had a tier list. You know what? Let me go pull that up. Maybe that'll be the last thing we talk about today. So I had
We
a
haven't
tier
talked
list
about
that I made.
Akuma, by the way. Like at all. Just a heads up. Who will
It's
likely be
okay.
at the top of the tiers.
We'll wait till he comes out and then we'll talk about him. Where's my stuff at?
We should at least
I
capture our
wanted to
first
look.
impressions of him, though. So while you're
I
looking,
will say okay. So just in general, the way he looks, like I
yeah,
thought the trailer was pretty damn hype. Like I like
yes.
uh, the move set, the drive rushes, and all that stuff. Um, he has Akuma stuff, right? The demon flips. I think the biggest change was he gets an empty demon flip now.
Yo, I got a joke about that one. Is if they give him an empty demon flip, does he now have the power of nothingness? Okay, that's it. That's all I got. Insert laugh track here.
uh, so well, no, it's because he's got the empty demon flip. Um, yeah, the air fireballs, the teleport. I thought the what was the other thing I was thinking about? Um, yeah, I thought the drive rush. He kind of had almost has. I think that's the thing I was looking forward to the most was to see what he could do with air fireballs and drive rush. And they did show like an example of that. Like he did like a EX fireball, and then he was able to follow that up.
Yeah, it
So I thought
causes a
that was
ground. It
pretty
causes
cool.
like a little explosion when it hits the ground and pops them back up, like an OTG almost. Yeah,
Yeah. I want
I
to
think
take a
he
look at
looks
the
a
tier
lot like
list.
Street Fighter Five Akuma. And Street Fighter Five Akuma was really annoying to fight against. He's got a lot of similar normals, a lot of similar target combos. Um,
Yeah.
and he looks good. He looks really good. And that
Yeah.
sucks for everybody else because
That's
all we are
okay.
gonna do is fight fucking Akuma for the next like how many 4 years? I think. Like, again, that character doesn't go away. Like they don't nerf that character. That character just keeps getting better because everybody else
Yeah.
gradually does less damage. That's what they do with these games. They balance around damage. They lower everyone's damage, and Akuma, who has got her, look at me, I have 900 health, or 800 health, depending on
Yeah.
your what game. He just gets better because everybody else doesn't hurt him as much.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
busted in
That's
four,
supposedly the
busted
rumor
in
too. Yeah.
five. Yeah. Ugh.
He's got
I want a mid
9,000
tier
health.
Akuma,
So.
dude. I want a mid tier Akuma.
Nah, they can't do that. I don't ever see that happening. He's got too many tools. Like they would have to take away his tools in order for it to be bad. For it to be bad.
Yeah.
And it's like
Yep.
you really can't do
He just makes so much money. That's the real thing. He's not
that.
mechanically interesting as a character. You could take his kit, you could split it across Ryu, Ken, and Luke easily, but he's not fucking edge lord ass Akuma that is so badass, and everybody he looks like God of War Akuma, like with his new outfit. Like you take if you took his head off of his 3D model, you could be like, that's Kratos. He probably has a Kratos color, dude.
Actually,
Um,
I'll send you this thing, and then maybe you'll put this on the stream instead, and we'll
sure,
talk
hit me.
about this. But this is basically I made a tier list for this is my own personal tier list.
Oh, for
I
season
was gonna
two.
do a tier. Yeah, well, actually, from the beginning, I guess it was from. I have the dates mixed up on the tweet, the pictures that I made for the tweet. They should actually be flipped. I think the top one should be June. Yeah, the top one should be June, and then the bottom one should be August. So I haven't even updated this for myself.
Okay. I will pull that up real quick here. But that basically concludes our Akuma thoughts because, again, it's a trailer for 3 minutes. You can go to find any content creator on YouTube to be like, they're going to break
Yeah,
it down 20 minutes, like for a 20-minute video, and it's going to have
yeah.
frame data and it's going to be, like, so we're not going that deep because the character's not out yet. And it's going to be much easier to talk about that in a different angle when the character's actually out. So instead, we'll pull up this view here. Um, let's see, of Benny's
Yeah,
tier
so
list here.
so click the yeah, so the top one here, that's actually so the dates should be flipped like I said. So the top one was actually like my initial one that I made around launch time, June 25th, and
Okay.
that's when basically Honda was giving me fucking problems, dude.
So
Like
this is
I
the
could
matchup
not
chart
deal
for
with it.
you, right? For our audio listeners, you pulled up a matchup chart and you've kind of shown each individual character
Yeah,
as like how they match up against Sim, right?
yeah. Well, not just Sim. It was this was like my own personal matchup chart because like when I talked to
Oh,
other Sim players, they were like, Honda's not that bad. But for me, like initially at launch time, Honda was like the worst. Like on better than Ken, better than Luke, everything. Like I could not deal with any of his stuff. Right. Nowadays, I have a much better understanding of it. But initially, I had Honda basically in the good luck tier because I was just like, fuck him.
okay. First
and
impressions
then
are he's
for
broken. Got it.
yeah, and then for the 4-6 matchups, I had Luke, Ken, Guile, Cammy, Jury, Kim, and Blanca. And
Yeah.
yeah, I didn't like that. If you see the bottom here, I did adjust a couple things. I brought Honda into that 4-6 range because I was just like, he's not that bad. Like I think he still has somewhat of an advantage over Sim because he can hit limbs from a distance, that kind of thing. But I'm much better at that matchup now than I was, almost a year ago. So
Sure. Okay.
I don't think it's that bad. And then Cammy, I still think is up there. Like most of the characters that are there are still up there. I brought Kim down to kind of the 5-5 range. I think that she's still kind of there because once she gets going, like I mean, it's almost like I don't know. That's why I will never agree to give her a reversal because I think her offense is too fucking good.
Well, they gave her a drive reversal on wake up, just like everyone else. So we'll
Yeah,
see how that impacts the. I mean, that could also blow up in her face too. Literally, like you could use that to get out of cans, maybe. Um,
I guess the one thing I don't know if I had to make a tier list now, I think the bottom would probably change the most
yeah.
because I think 7-3 is Lily and possibly Jamie before he gets drinks, and then maybe Manon too before Manon before she gets medals. But I mean, it's one of those things. It's like you can't really unless you really want to separate them. Sober Jamie and drunk Jamie or whatever.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a tough one because you have to factor in the
Yeah,
the effort it takes to get to drunk Jamie in the first place. So,
yeah. So
um,
I would put for my own personal matchup chart. I'd put them lower, and I would probably put Keith into the 6-4 range. Like I still think that that's hell for him,
yeah.
but I think he's got like you said, like he doesn't have to build up wind or get drinks to have access to his tools. Like he has all those readily available.
Okay, so let's turn this into something that like everyone else seems to talk about on their podcast lately. Shout outs to the Event Hubs podcast for releasing a tier list recently. Who are your top three and who are your bottom three for season one? Now that it's concluding.
Oh, just in general.
Uh huh.
So I had my top one would be Luke. Um, I think I would still put Ken up there as one. Yeah, one. Luke is one for sure. Ken is two or three, and then if I had to pick a third, uh, man, I don't know. That range that's like the muddy range right there. Like I
I
feel
say
like
three,
there's
but
so
you can
many
probably
characters.
name five top three characters. I know it's there's a lot of have similar skills, so it's okay if you want to name up to five.
I don't know. Like so, I think the toughest thing for me is like the character I have seen the least of a lot, or at least lately, is JP. Like I fought a couple today, or I won today, and like I was kind of all over the place just because I haven't seen the character in so long.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I'd probably put I don't know DJ or Cammy up there. Like if I
Okay.
really had to pick one of the others.
Okay. So Luke, Ken, DJ, and Cammy, roughly
Yeah.
for your top three.
So I mean, yeah, those would be like my top 3, 4. But Luke and Ken, Luke one, Ken two, and then you could swap DJ and Cammy as like 3, 4.
Okay.
And then bottom three, I would say, I think I'd have to say Lily, Jamie, and Mano.
Okay. No
Yeah, I just
Ryu.
feel like
Everyone always hates on Ryu as the worst.
I
No Geef
I
either,
think
huh?
Ryu's got good enough tools, and then I think it's almost like you said. Like I don't. I mean, Lily, I guess, is more poorly designed. Manoa actually gets to keep her medals, so it's just like like you said, you could lose the first round, or you could win the first round and be like, oh, but she's at level 4, and this command grab does whatever 30% damage now. So it's just like now I've got to worry about that.
What about? Do you want to call out Maynard here? Because I remember when Aki dropped, Maynard said she might be the worst character in the game.
No, I don't think she's the worst. I mean, she's got pretty much the problem that everybody else has with no reversal, right? Like that's everybody's thing. Is it's like, oh well, once she gets cornered, and I was like, yeah, and once Sim gets cornered, and once Geef gets cornered, and once uh, everybody else, you got to spend super. So it's like I don't necessarily look at that as like, okay, well that's why they're bad, because that's something that pretty much like there's more characters that got to deal with that same thing. That's why when people
Sure.
are just like, well, Kim's bad because she doesn't have a reversal. I was just like, okay, I don't have a reversal either.
Yeah, it's reductive for sure to just
Yeah.
boil characters down to bullet point qualitative lists. But I agree. By the way, Aki's fine, not the worst character in the game, and I think Maynard would agree too. But we're gonna roast him anyway because that's what the point of these tier lists are: is to time capsule it and drive discussion.
Yeah. So who would be your top three and your bottom three?
Top three: Luke number one. I'd put DJ number two, and
For real?
then yeah, I think DJ's pretty good. And then for number three, it's a toss up between Ken, Chun, Cammy, or Guile. That's a tougher one, but yeah, I would say
Yeah.
Ken, Chun, or Cammy would be my pick for the third one there. And then the other ones are
Mm,
closely followed. Like Guile's viable, Jury's viable, Blanco's viable.
yeah.
JP is viable. JP is still really fucking good. Um,
Yeah.
and then so then bottom tier. Uh, See, the problem is I lose really badly to the bottom tiers, like as a player and matchup wise. So like Lily and Jamie do give me problems. But I recognize that. So Jamie, it's so cool to like hate on that character sucking, like, but I don't think he's actually that bad. I think it's a meme at this point. I think Lily is actually pretty bad, but she's really good at doing the one thing. So she has
Yeah.
polarizing matchups. And Zangief has
Yeah.
polarizing matchups too. So it's hard to call them bad. Um, I would put Manon down there. I think Manon just doesn't work in some scenarios. Um,
Mhm.
yeah. I guess it would be Honda. Honda's the worst to me. I think Honda's the worst character in the game. I think he's a
Oh,
scrub
really?
killer. Yeah. I think Honda, he's he's like Lily, where he's got one game plan. It's just that game plan isn't very good. Lily's is pretty good and annoying to fight against. So I'd put
Mm,
Honda, Manon, and um, then it's a toss up between Jamie and Lily. I think because they still suck. It's just
yeah.
not that bad. I don't think.
Yeah. Well, I could see that in terms of in the Honda, because like you said, like Lily, once she gets going, like it's tough to deal with, right? Like you're just dealing with
It's
50
effective.
50s.
It's annoying,
Yeah.
but it's effective, right?
Yeah. Honda's effective in his own way, but it's like it's easier to deal with what he's doing than it is to deal with what Lily's doing, is what you're saying basically.
Yeah, he's effective when you're frustrated. I think.
Yeah.
Like if you're
What
running
do
into
you what do you think
headbutts
about the
over and
theory? Because
over.
I saw somebody say that the reason that they made those changes to Honda was because he's, like you said, he's the scrub killer, right? Like he's killing the casuals and he's killing the lower level players. So we gotta tone him down,
Yeah.
because those people are getting frustrated with him. Not so much the top players. It's just the fact that, like, the kind of lower level players are like, this character sucks, and
Mhm.
I don't know how to deal with this stuff.
Yeah, it's
Like, do you
a
agree with that?
it's a it's a kind of a trap. All things considered, you have or a logic trap. You have to nerf him for mid tier play or mid to low tier play, and you have to buff him for high tier play. So you have to both simultaneously nerf and buff him, and that's a really
Yeah.
hard thing to do. Um, I I'm of the opinion that you should balance for top tier play, but that's because I have bias there because I only want to play at the top tier. Um,
Yeah.
this is an ongoing discussion for every game, not just fighting games, every competitive game period. Like League of Legends has this regularly, where it's like, this item might be giving a bunch of people a lot of problems at the bronze level, right? But then at the top level, it's not a big deal. It's not even part of the meta. Or card games, that happens a lot too. You
Yeah.
have like one hit wonder scrub killer decks essentially, but that they fall apart really quickly if
Yeah.
the moment you take away their cheese. StarCraft had that as well with four gating and cannon rushing with Protoss, right? Um, and so it's like, yeah, it would be good to nerf those techniques, but there's still a depth problem for the character in general. So
Mm.
I think nerfing Honda is a good idea because it makes the lower players not have as much fun. Um,
Yeah.
but at the same time, like my buddy Eric, who's he's not a competitive fighting game player by any means, but he entered Evo last year and he was just like, I need to cram for the test, the night before. What do I do? And I
Hmm.
said, play Honda, play modern Honda. And he played modern Honda and he beat a bunch of people in his pools. And
Oh,
so,
really?
yeah, he beat Surge, who's a Marvel 3 local in Arizona here. Sorry, Surge, I just aired your dirty laundry. You lost my casual modern Honda friend. Um, but yeah, Eric probably wouldn't have competed at Evo if that character wasn't the way he was.
Yeah. Yeah.
So there is benefit in having simplistic, easy characters like Lily and like Honda. I just don't know how to make them strong and in at the top tiers, and I would rather them just stay being bad than risk
Yeah.
destroying the whole game. Um, so I would, in that case,
Yeah.
I would leave Honda intact. I think if I had the choice, it's tough. Yeah. But
Yeah.
how about you? Like, what's your opinion on that whole situation?
Well, I don't know. I kind of almost goes back to that thing that I was talking about when it comes to like grappler players. Like, you have people
Yeah.
that are like, you know, good, greatly skilled players, but a lot of people that play grapplers, like, they're good at conditioning and they're good at, making reads like that. And it's like, that's why, like, when you figure them out, right? Like, that's like one of my most favorite things to do is once I kind of got a read on like when they want to command grab or whatever they want to do, right? And like,
Mhm.
I mean, I don't know. I guess when you boil it down, like, maybe it's no different than somebody just constantly meeting somebody that wants to jump all the time, right? But to me, like, the tool set for a grappler is much simpler to use than to somebody to get a meaty hit into the driver super combo, right? It's
Yeah.
like a time to make you guess. Okay, you guessed wrong. Here's 20% damage from this grab,
Yeah.
right?
Grapplers
Or
are the original Vortex characters. Yeah.
yeah, or 33% damage if you're Mono level 5, right?
Yeah. Or set
So it's
play
just like,
characters. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So it's just like, I mean, I get hype. I'm not gonna lie, like, I get hype watching people that play those characters because, like, I understand the struggle that they go to, but like, I would I'd much rather prefer, like you said, them to be kind of where they're at instead of them to be too good. Because then at that point, then it's just like, I don't want to deal with that shit.
They ruin the game. Yeah, it ruins the game.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
and that's frankly, I think that's just the reality you have to sign up for as a grappler player. Is that your character is never going to be top tier because we saw what happened with Abigail being top tier.
yeah.
You ruined the game.
Oh my god, yeah.
We saw what happened with
Abigail.
like Elena, who's a zoner. Once she ruined the game. Um, it's not as simple as like you need to achieve perfect balance and all archetypes need to be at like accurately represented. It's which games are the most fun to keep people playing and fun to fight against, and
Yeah.
grapplers and zoners are not on that up high on that list.
Yeah, I mean, and like you said, like just by nature of like the type of character that they are, is that they are going to have polarizing matchups. So, so
They
for
have to, yeah.
they're yeah, they're going to be even against probably a majority of the cast. If they can get their stuff going, and then they're going to have to deal with Sim at the same time, and just be like, well, this sucks. I need a secondary to deal with this character, kind of thing. And I was just like, well, that's the life of a grappler.
Yep. Agree, agree. It's a tough bet because again, like I sat through 5 and listened to all about how Alex sucked through the entirety of 5, and the reality is that they made him that way because if he was too good, he would run the game, which is probably why they're nerfing Honda right now too. You give
Yeah,
Honda the new drive reversal stuff, and you give Honda that new stand medium punch. Maybe he's too good, so they nerf the headbutt. Frankly, the headbutt shit is scrubby and it needed to go. Like there's a little bit of that
yeah.
too,
But like I
because
said,
that's
I mean,
it's just
that
clowning
was
on
pretty
lower
much
tier
what it boiled
players.
down to. Because like, even talking to like other sim players, they were just like, "How do you deal with Honda?" It's like, you better learn the perfect parry because you got to deal with that shit.
Yeah. I mean, you don't even
Yeah,
have to perfect parry it. You just parry it because then he
yeah,
doesn't. He actually gives you bar, and then
yeah,
I don't know. Like his whole point of headbutting at you in the first place is to take your drive. He doesn't want to hit you. He wants to burn you out. Um,
yeah, yeah.
yeah. So maybe they'll fix him. I don't know.
Yeah, but like like I said earlier, it's too early to doom and gloom, and like whether he ends up changing for the better overall, and his playstyle changes. Like I might revisit him at that point because right the way he is right now, like I wouldn't play him.
I'm in a weird position with this game right now where I actually this happened actually when season 5 dropped for Street Fighter 5. I didn't want the game to change. And maybe that's because I play a top tier character. And the
Yeah,
reality is this game has been, this game has been played for a long time at this point. It's a year plus the betas, right? And so we are due for a balanced patch, but to me the game still feels so deep and there's still so much more for me to learn and incorporate as a player that I don't want
yep,
everything to change right now. And maybe again, that's I'm scared that the character is going to get nerfed or something. But like I like the game the way it is right now. And everyone will shit on the internet about it because it goes viral about how it's terrible and drive rush jab rewards is too much of a guess, or throw loops are too much of a guess, or everyone's mad about drive rush fireball. Like I don't have any problems with that stuff. I really like the game, and I would rather them leave the game intact than add more bullshit to it that I might not like. It's in a good spot right now, in my opinion. But that
yeah,
doesn't sell copies. That doesn't create content. So they do need to balance the game, rebalance the game. I hope that it's not too different than what it is now.
yeah. Cool.
Cool.
I was just actually, you're talking about playing this game a lot, and like I think between me and you, I was looking at my friends on Steam that play, that have to play in the hours that they put in, and you're the only one that has more hours than me.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because I'm at 921 hours. You're at 992.8.
Dang. That's
Yeah,
for some reason I thought I was playing way more than you, but no, that's we're neck and neck, dude. That's
yeah,
crazy.
yeah. I mean, granted, my son's been playing, but it's like it's not. He's not probably counting for more than 20 hours of that. I doubt it.
Huh. There's not many games
Yeah,
that'll make you put 1,000 hours into it. Um,
yeah. For sure, I
and
definitely got my money's worth. Like I bought the whatever the ultimate edition,
yeah,
so I was just like, yeah, I got more than my money's worth.
we are the whales, dude. We are the power users for this game. This live service.
Yep.
Everyone else has moved on to Helldivers, and they'll move on to the next live service game that's a hit after that. What was it? What was that? What the Pokemon ripoff that everyone was all excited about for a little bit too? Um,
Oh, Pal World.
Pal
Yeah, yeah,
World.
yeah.
Remember that?
I was
Like
playing that for a bit too. That was like the only thing that kind of took me away from this. Was like I was kind of playing that for a bit, and then I was just like, all right, that's enough of that. I didn't even finish it.
the real game is the one you come back to after the fad game is over. And Street Fighter 6 is a game you come back to, I think.
Yeah, I'm just gonna wait for
Unlike
those.
Tekken 8. Hey. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
No, I was gonna say I want to see those people that are gonna come out when Ultra comes out. You know, probably 6 years down the line when all the content's out, they're gonna be like, "Oh yeah, I saved all this money," and I was like, "Okay, and I've got 4,000 hours in this game. Like, do you think that you're gonna have a fun time if we play right now? I don't think so."
Yeah, no, that's how I feel about everybody that skipped 5. They're like, "Oh, I'll come
Yeah.
back after 4 and be godlike." I'm like, no, you haven't been playing fighting games for 5 years. Um, or like it does tie into our topic today too, Akuma, right? It's like everyone's like, "I'm waiting for Akuma." I'm like, you're gonna get fucked up.
Yeah,
And this is your
if you
first time
haven't been
playing
playing,
Street Fighter 6, so you're gonna get fucked up.
yeah, yeah, if you haven't been playing up to this point, like, yeah, like, yeah, it's not gonna be pretty. Like, you better be used to the system by now.
I hate to gatekeep there because again, if we should be welcoming new people into the community, but you're gonna get fucked up. Like if you're starting from scratch and everyone else has been playing this game for a year or more, like
Yeah,
picking a 900 health character on top of that when everybody else has their optimized B and
yeah.
Bs.
Oh yeah, the 9,000
Oh
health. Yeah,
man,
yeah.
dude.
That's what I was saying. Like, yeah, there's combos. The Sim has combos that do like 7,000 damage.
Yeah, dude, we might be able to two touch this character. Yeah, I hope we can
Yeah.
because I that character looks really really good. So what I really hope, and this is the prediction that I've aired numerous times on this show, is that, and this happened when Street Fighter V came out, was Akuma came out, wasn't immediately busted, and so everybody bitched and moaned about how the character was changed too much, and they blamed Street Fighter V for it. And then later on,
Mhm.
Tokido wins with Akuma, and suddenly Akuma is the best. He wins Evo with Akuma in season 2 of Street Fighter V when he was largely considered trash. And then suddenly
Mhm.
Akuma is the best character in season 3 and season 4. And so it's like, I expect a lot of people to go and pick up Akuma in 6, get their asses beat because he's not easy anymore,
Mhm.
complain that he sucks now, and then somebody who's actually good will show how busted that character actually is. That's the impression I'm getting.
Mhm.
That's my prediction rather. And if I'm wrong, then that means Akuma sucks, and I will also live in that world. I would very much like to live in that world. So it's an option select.
I'm looking forward to all the matchup practice because it's like it's gonna be one of those things of
God
like
fucking damn it, dude. Oh man. It's gonna
I
be
remember I
every match,
remember
dude. You thought Ed was
yep,
bad? Oh man.
nah. Akuma's gonna be worse. He's gonna be the Vanilla Sagat, Vanilla Ryu, Street Fighter 4 all over again. And like,
Oh man. Even then locally, we didn't have a ton of vanilla Sagats. We only like we still had like a character identity thing back then, I think. At least
mhm.
like locally in Arizona. I don't know what it was like in Alaska, if everybody was playing
No, we
Sagat or
just
not.
no, we just had the one, but I ran into a lot of them online for sure.
Mm, okay. Yeah, that character carried
So we'll
too.
see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, any shout outs on the way out here, Benny? We're gonna close up for the night and not talk about Street Fighter anymore.
Yeah. I don't know. This has been fun because, like you said, like we've always have guests. Like guests are great, and but it's fun to kind of just shoot the shit, just you and I. So nah, nothing really. It's been fun.
How about happy belated birthday to your daughter, who just turned 21
Yeah,
recently, right? Mm-hmm.
yeah. She'll be
Uh,
graduating college next week.
Shout outs to G for being a passionate fighting game player. And
Oh, that reminds me. That's in my Facebook memories. There's a picture of him with like my original like Mad Catz SE when he is a baby,
before you
and I
broke
was
it?
gonna put
Oh, okay.
yeah,
So
yeah,
one of
before I
those has
broke it.
made it.
Yes. Yeah, yeah. So no, I was gonna put that with like one of the current pictures that we took at like, the tourneys that because he's entered a couple tourneys around here.
Oh,
So
that's
I was gonna
awesome.
put those together. Yeah, I was just like, oh yeah, that's a good reminder. That's a great way to end.
And don't forget to shout out May May as well
Yeah.
for being awesome and continuing with her studies. So I have
Oh man.
aired out all your kids. I have doxed all of your kids here. I will shout out because again we always ask the guest shout outs. So we don't get to shout out ourselves, right? I want to shout out
Yeah.
my cats who have completely botched this recording multiple times. I don't like like last episode with Mike, there was a moment where Mike's microphone got muted, and it's because
Mhm.
Stella walked on my keyboard and then muted Mike specifically. So, and then she's knocked over my camera during this call as well.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yep. That's not going to show up on the final product though, because I'm using a different camera. But she's currently sleeping on my keyboard and has constantly been muting uh, the sound. So whoops. Um,
Yeah.
and yep. And then shout outs to my wife who is recovering from having a cavity filled today. So that was an endeavor.
Yeah, I was gonna say that too. Shout out to my wife being a really supportive of my FGC endeavors for man almost 15 years now.
Yeah, actually, to give a preview, like we got to have her on the show at some point.
Yeah.
Maybe that's actually the play of what we do next time. With the two-parter idea that we have, but we it was after the podcast with Maynard and Nam, I think, a couple weeks ago. We went and got dinner, and then Mary
Mhm.
had a lot of opinions on how to grow a scene and play Mama Bear
Yeah.
for a scene, and so I would love to have her on at some point.
Yeah.
We gotta have
We'll see if we
alcohol
can.
when we do
I'll
it
talk to
though.
her.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'll talk to her.
gotta have the
All
alcohol.
right.
That was part of the charm.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, this has been the Absolute Guard Podcast, episode 82 with Jon and Benny, and nobody else. You can find us on Twitch at twitch.tv/spiral series, YouTube at youtube.com/spiral series, and then Apple Podcasts and Spotify under Absolute Guard. Take care, everybody, and we'll see you next week.